Brian, thank you for talking to me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's everything?
It's good, thank you. What have you been up to today? How is COVID-19 affecting your day to day?
Not too bad because I got a fight to prepare for, so I had to do some jujitsu this morning with a select few guys, and then now it's kind of like relax, hang out time, and then later on I have another session with my brother, who I'm lucky to have because he's also a fighter too. So.
Nice. So, what are things like with COVID-19 at the moment where you are?
It's pretty bad in New York, supposedly. I mean, I'm on Long Island, so I'm not like in the city area, but it's pretty hectic over here. I feel like I'm starting to see more cars outside and more people doing things though. So I feel like things are starting to slowly get better, but everyone seems to be cautious for the most part.
And how does that affect your training, getting ready for a fight?
Yeah, it was rough at first because I live with my parents still, so I was with them and they were kind of all paranoid about the situation, and I was kind of like, well, I'm young and healthy, my immune system's strong. I'm gonna try to be cautious but still train a little bit and stay in shape because I never want to not be able to take an opportunity. So I was doing what I had to do, home workouts, bag work, going for a lot of runs and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden I got an opportunity. So once that happened, I started to kind of up my training a little bit. I had a couple sparring sessions and started doing more pad work and more jiu-jitsu and stuff like that.
Okay, so you are scheduled to face Hunter Azure on May 13th in Florida. So, tell me a little bit about how that fight came together then.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of cool situation. Me and Hunter actually communicated on social media. I knew that he was supposed to fight, I think either the 18th or the 25th. His opponent fell through. So I was like, man, this is a good opportunity for me to kind of like jump in and say something. It's, I know he wants to fight still. Still wants to get paid. So I said, hey, like, I'll fight you on short notice, but let's do it at 145. I don't want to cut, a whole bunch of weight. I'm a little bit heavier now because the quarantine and stuff. And he was all about it. So he was on top of his manager. I was on top of mine. And we kind of made the fight happen ourselves, which is pretty cool.
But this will be taking place at bantamweight, right? Or will it be at?
No, it's going to be at featherweight,
It
yeah.
will.
So
Okay.
that made it a lot better and easier for me. I don't have to cut as much weight.
Okay. Cool. And was that before or after you put out that tweet? Because obviously you had some replies. You had Cody Salmon replied to your tweet about wanting to fight someone.
Yeah, you know what? I think as soon as some of these other big bantamweights started to see that, I might get an opportunity to fight another bantamweight, but a weight class
Yeah.
up, they were like, hey, I want to do that. Like, I don't want to cut all this weight either. So I saw Cody Salmon talking some stuff on Twitter, which was interesting to me because I know he's one of those guys that wants to fight up and, fight someone ahead of him in the rankings, but he was all about fighting me in this case. So maybe he's next. Who knows?
Okay. And I mean, you had previously called out Sean O'Malley. So what are you thinking about the matchup here with Hunter?
Yeah, I think it's a good, winnable fight. He's undefeated though, so that
Mhm.
he's never faced defeat before in his career, and I think that makes me excited. To fight someone like that. It kind of brings me back to the days before I was in the UFC because I fought a lot of top prospects that were undefeated, that were a lot of hype behind them, and I think he's one of those guys, young guy. He's from the Contender series. I just beat a young guy from the Contender series, so I'm trying to be the Contender series killer after this.
Um, the last three of his fights have all gone to decision. So have you had a good look at him, and how would you break him down? Is there anything that you feel he does particularly well, or maybe not so well?
Yeah, I think he has a wrestling background. That's definitely where his comfort zone is. I think he's starting to kind of fall in love with striking a little bit, but he's not too versatile on the feet. I feel like he's kind of basic, but he looks like he's strong. He throws some power shots. But, I let my coaches do most of the film watching. I watched a couple of his fights, the Contender Series one, and his fight against Brad Katona, which I thought that I actually thought he lost that fight, but he squeaked out the decision. And Katona had a lot of success in taking him down a bunch of times. So, I took a lot from those two fights. He's a tough guy. He's undefeated. He's definitely confident. But I feel like my experience is going to play a big role in this fight. And just my style of fighting is a lot more to worry about than what Katona brought in that fight, I feel. So I'm confident going into this fight.
And you're coming off of a submission win back in January, I think it was, and that put you back in the win column after 2 losses. So what was it like to get that win in the first round, and was there anything different in your approach to that fight?
You know what? The only difference I could imagine that was there was, I'm always training hard, but the mental game is huge for me. I feel like, in that fight, I was going in with my back against the wall. My job was on the line, essentially. They were letting me fight out my deal, so I had to win that fight in order to get a new deal with the UFC. And I knew that going in, but I felt really calm and collected during fight week, and I really had like a good energy about me, and I feel like that's important, for me to enjoy the process and have fun through all the stress and the weight cut and the pressure and all that stuff. I have to kind of talk myself into like enjoying it and just relax, and this is what you love to do, so just do it that way. And that's what I took going into that last fight, and it was amazing because I got in and out without getting any injuries, any bumps and bruises. And, I got the performance of the night bonus. I was fortunate to be able to fight in January before all this stuff, so it was great.
So is there anything that you've, well, obviously, enjoying it more the last time, this time round, there's a lot of other things that are kind of out of your control and maybe more to worry about. You have the testing, you're not going to have any fans in the octagon. So how are you feeling mentally going into this one?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm more scared about that nose test with the swab that goes up into your brain, like, more than the fight. I'm like, I don't want them to do that test to me. I don't know. It doesn't look too fun. But, other than that, I know, there's no crowd in the arena. That's going to be different. But I kind of like that I'm going to hear my corners crystal clear. I'll hear my opponent and kind of be able to feel his energy. Is he tired? Did I hurt him with that shot? So there's a lot of benefits with it, but I do think it's going to be different and a little bit awkward walking out to like an empty crowd.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've done to kind of prepare yourself for the kind of situation or atmosphere that you're going to be going into?
Well, I mean, the good thing is, I sparred 2 times in this last 5 days with Merab Dvalishvili. He's another bantamweight, and he's got like an endless gas tank. So, it was just me, him, and my coach in the gym. So it was quiet, and we just went at it, and I tried to tell myself like, hey, like, remember this, because this is what it's going to be like when you fight. It's going to be quiet, and it's just going to be you and your opponent, and, you're not going to have to deal with any crowd or anything. So it's kind of like training if you look at it like that.
When are you going to be going to Florida, and what's the journey like for you?
Yeah, so we're leaving Sunday afternoon to head to Florida. So I believe fight week is just 1 day shorter than it would typically be. So it's going to be a quicker fight week, I feel, which I kind of like because, I like to stay home as close as possible until I have to leave. I got all my training and all my partners and everything here, and my routine is set here, so it's a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, that's it, just leaving Sunday, and we weigh in on Tuesday and we fight on Wednesday, which is different as well. Usually it's Saturday.
And who are you taking with you? How many people are you allowed to have?
I'm taking 3 people. We're allowed the full amount of corners. So I'm taking, I got my brother, my striking coach, and my jiu-jitsu coach.
Okay, and how do you see the fight going down on May 13th?
I feel like he starts a little bit slow. I kind of do sometimes too, but I feel like I can break this guy. I feel like he gets tired fairly quick. I know I haven't had the most amazing training camp, but I like to stay in shape all year round, no matter what. Whether I'm in the gym or not, or these kind of situations. Like, I'm always running, doing sprint work, getting creative with home workouts. I never really fall out of shape. It was just that I got heavier, with all these lifting weights and stuff like that, and not getting the same exact intensity of training. But I see myself finishing the fight, whether it be submission or knockout. I'm always looking to finish the fight. You can see that on my record. I have a lot of submissions, a lot of knockouts. It's all diverse. So I'm definitely looking for that in this fight.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing your fight on May 13th. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good day.